युहन्तः प्रविश्यमवाचिन्मां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीविकत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। किं गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञा भक्तिविनीतयः दीप्तिश्चापि वृदा नित्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। We'll start from verse 49. कार्यं कारणयेव तिष्ठति जगन्नाट्ये निमृत्तुं भवत् तस्मात् ब्रह्मणि कारणेऽस्ति सकलं नाट्येति तत्किञ्चन लोकोऽयं ननु कम्पते सति बृहत्यस्मिन्नतो निर्गतः भीतोऽस्मात् परमुद्यतादिव भवेः एतद्विदन्तो मृताः भीतोऽग्निर्दहति प्रभोस्तपतिकः तापं निहन्त्यम्बुजः जिष्णुर्वर्षति कम्पते पवनः शम्पाक्षणं द्योतते सर्वं भूस्सहते पयोनिधिरहो नागच्छति स्वावते लोकान् पान्ति च लोकपान् बहुना मृत्युः परं धावति एतत्साध्वसकारणं कलयितुं प्राग्देहपातात् बुधः चेच्छक्नोति विमुच्यते न यदिहा सर्गेष्वधीर्जायते आदर्शे मुखमीक्षते हि पुरुषः स्पष्टं नतो ये पुनः तद्वन्मानवजन्मनि स्फुटतरं नान्यत्र सद्दर्शनम् जाग्रत्यात्मनि निर्मले परपदं स्पष्टं यथा भासते तद्वन्मानवजन्मनि स्फुटतरो ब्रह्मात्मबोधो नृणाम् स्वप्ने स्पष्टमिदं विभाति तु यथा तद्वत् पितॄणां पदे गान्धर्वेऽपि च दैवते स्फुटतमम् सत्ये तु तद्दुर्लभम् त्वक्चक्षुश्रुतिरासनं निपुणधीः घ्राणं च दृष्टोदितम् वायुवर्चर्यदम्बुभ्यैतद् सच्चित् सुखादात्मनः येषां जागृति संभवं च विलयं स्वापेतथा साक्षिणम् स्वात्मानं परमव्ययं ध्रुवमजं ब्रह्माथनो नो शोचति. So we did up to verse 53 in the previous class. Now I will say the verse you repeat. Yosa vindriya chitta sanmatimahan maya paro vyapakaha. Yosa vindriya chitta sanmatimahan maya paro vyapakaha. योसा विन्द्रिय चित्त सन्मतिमहन् माया
Vivaharo Vyapakaha
Alingas san purushosya tasya tu padam.
Alingassan Purushosya Tasya Tu Padam Alingassan Purushosya Tasya Tu Padam
Nodrikpathe tishtati.
Nodrikpathe Tishtati Nodrikpathe Tishtati
Nainam pashyati kaschanendriyaganaihi.
Nainam pashyati kaschanendriyaganaihi Nainam pashyati kaschanendriyaganaihi
Yakopi dhanyah punaha.
Yakopi dhanyah punaha Yakopi dhanyah punaha
Buddhya hritstitaya vicharya labhate.
Buddhya hritstitaya vicharya labhate Buddhya hritstitaya vicharya labhate
Yo veda tatsomrtaha. Yo veda tatsomrtaha. Yo veda tatsomrtaha. So this verse 54 paraphrases 3 mantras in the Kathopanishad. The previous verse was dedicated to only one mantra, that is mantra 6. We saw that in the previous class. So here, this verse paraphrases 3 mantras. These 3 mantras are quite important. We will see why they are stated to be important soon. Towards the end of 54, you see once again, there is a Phalashruti. The Phalashruti is Phalasya Shruti. Shruti means statement, hearing. Hearing of the Phala. Phala is the benefit that is derived. So, Yo Veda Tatu Saha Amritaha is what is stated. Yo Veda Tatu means the one who understands that. The Tat here refers to Atman Brahma. Saha Amritaha. Amritaha means he never ever once again comes back into the cycle of birth and death. Okay, this is what essentially Amritaha, Amritatvam Ashruti. So this is the Phalashruti which is stated. What is to be understood, how it is to be understood, etc. is elaborated in these 3 mantras. The nature of that entity to be understood, the process to be adopted by us for understanding. So all that have been stated. Okay, so these are the 3 mantras. First, I will chant the 3 mantras. Then we will go one by one. So the 3 mantras are 7, 8, and 9. Indriyebhyah param manaha manasas sattvam sattva dadhi mahanatma mahato vyaktamuttamam. This is mantra 7. Indriyebhyah param manaha manasas sattvam sattva dadhi mahanatma mahato vyaktamuttamam. Mantra 8 is Avyaktattu parah purushah vyapako linga evacha yam jnatva muchyate jantu amritatvam cha gacchati. This also he states. So it is essentially this amritatvam which is stated there in mantra 8 has been stated by Rāmarāya here. So mritaha. Then we will see mantra 9 also now. Na sandrishe tishtati rūpamasya na chakshusha pashyati kaschanainam hridāmanisha manasādhiklrittaha ya etat viduramritaste bhavanti. Once again, viduhu amritaha te bhavanti. Te amritaha bhavanti. Ke amritaha bhavanti? Ye viduhu te amritaha. So those who understand, te amritaha bhavanti. This is how the mantra invites. Okay, so by giving the Phalashruti. Now, I will read this verse quickly and then I will take you to the mantra. Okay, and briefly explain what is stated in the verse before getting into the mantras and their commentaries by Bhagavad Pada. Yosa vindriya chitta sannati mahan maya paraha. Yosau. See, if you recall what was discussed in the previous classes, it was said that this Manushya Janma has to be properly utilized because we are blessed with certain faculty which other Jantus are not blessed with, and so on and so forth. The importance of Manushya Janma and the importance of the Jnana was stated in the previous mantras. Now he is saying, Yoso Indriya Chitta Sannati Mahan Maya Paru Vyapakaha. So the one whom we are describing as Indriya Kita, this Atman, we were seeing in the previous classes, so that it is different from Indriyas, etc., which was discussed in great detail. Yosau. So Yosau means the one who was referred to earlier in the mantras. What is his nature? How is he to be understood? Indriya chitta sannati mahan maya paraha. This is a compound word. So Indriya chitta sannati mahat maya paraha. Paraha means one who is beyond them. Beyond what? The group which is listed in this compound. So he is different from Indriyas. He is different from Chittam. Chittam should be understood as Manaha. After that, he uses Sannati. Oh, there is one there is a song, no? Sannati Der Bhagavan. What is it? Raghupati Raghava Raga. So there is a Sannati. Sannati means Buddhi. Buddhi should be understood as, see, after all, the mind runs. And you are able to control the mind by giving some direction, right? So the one which gives direction to the mind, hey, if you are running, don't run, come back. So this is what you call as Buddhi. So you have decided to do this, so you cannot slip away from this. So this is some direction which goes. This is what you call as Buddhi. Adhyavasaya Atmika. That is what is called Sannati. Yosa Vindriya Chitta Sannati. Then there is something called Mahatattva. This has to do with the discussions that we had long back when we read the third Valli. The third Valli, there is a sequence which has been listed. Indriyebhyah para yarthaha, arthebhyascha param manaha, manasastu para buddhihi, buddhir atma mahantaraha, mahatah param avyaktam, avyaktat purushah paraha. Right? So that sequence has to be recalled. So he is basically listing all of them. Sannati mahan maya paraha. Paraha means beyond all this. Maya paraha. Then this Atman is described as Vyapakaha. Vyapakaha means one who is all pervading. Okay. Vyapakaha. Then we have the phrase Alingaha. Alingaha. What does this mean? Lingaha. Linga is something through which you will be able to recognize the presence of something else. This is what is called Linga. Linga means Suchaka, indicator. So this is how you have to understand. In the case of, to understand it more clearly, this will be very simple. So suppose you are able to see the shadow. So you are inside your room. You are able to see suddenly some shadow passing through the window. Right? So what does the shadow indicate? So something is moving outside. Right? So the shadow is linga for the object which is moving outside. So suppose you see the footsteps. Okay? So footsteps of something. So the footsteps are the linga of someone who has walked out. This is what is called linga, indicator of something. So Dhuma and Agni, suppose to say, Dhuma is the linga and Agni is something which is inferred through this. Okay. Now, here this Atman is described as Alingaha. Alingaha. So here, how do we definitely understand the presence of some other object through some other thing? Because of the invariable concomitance of those two objects. So we have to understand. This is Vyapya Vyapaka Bhava. Now, this Alingaha is with reference to Atman, this description of Alinga is used. So there is no linga which you can associate to which you will be able to infer. So this is what we have to understand through this phrase Alingaha. So one can think of, from the viewpoint of Nayayika, one can think of. So they say, Nayayikas say, there are some gunas, Sukha Dukkhadi. So they refer to as Atma Guna. They classify something as Dravya, they classify something as Guna. Right? So Sukha Dukkhadi Maya Anubhuyate, therefore this Atman is not Alinga, is what they may say. A Guna cannot exist without a Dravya. Suppose you think of a mango. The color of that mango cannot exist without mango. Color is Guna. So initially it may be green, later it may be yellow, so partially yellow, etc. So similarly, the Sukha Dukha, etc. is being experienced by me, and therefore Atman cannot be described as Alinga, they may say. But then we say that the Sukha Dukha, etc. So for that, Atma need not be Ashraya, but Buddhi is the Ashraya. You have to understand. So Sukha Dukkadihi Anubhuyate Ittenena Buddhihi Asmahihi Natum Shakyate Natu Atma. Kama Sankalpo Vichikitsa Shraddha Shraddha Dhritira Dhrir Dhir Dhihi Ityetat Sarvam Mana Eva. So we will say, in fact, if they make an inference, our argument against Nayayika will be, it is called Siddha Sadhanam Dosha. So if Nayayika were to infer, so all these gunas are there, Sukha Dukha, there has to be some Ashraya. Suppose he makes an inference. So we will say, yes, this is Siddha Sadhanam. We also accept there should be some Ashraya, but that Ashraya is Buddhi and not the Atma. Anyway, so this is something which we have to understand. So Atma is Alingaha. Why am I saying? Because see, without dukkha, without this experience of sukha, understand? So that I am enjoying, that I am suffering, etc. These are feelings which can be eliminated from Atma, because during Sushupti, you don't have dukkha. Right? When you say Linga, these two will always go together. Okay? So then only you can say, so this Linga will be definitely pointing to that. Anyway, so that is at the level of Anumana. Now, this Atman is described as Nirgunaha. Okay? Nishkalaha and so on. Therefore, Alingaha. Alingassan Purushaha Yosavindriya Chitta Sanmati Mahan Maya Paro Vyapako Lingassan Purushosya. Lingassan Ayam Purushaha Tasya tu padam no drikpathe tishtati. Tasya tu padam no drikpathe tishtati. See, drikpathe tishtati means he is not an object of your sense perception. What you have done? Drikpathe saha natishtati. He doesn't fall under the ambit of your sense perception. Nainam pashyati kaschanendriya ganaihi. So this drik is just one indriya. Therefore he is saying indriya ganaihi. If I say he is not accessible to your chakshurindriya, you should not think that other indriyas will be able to perceive him. And therefore indriya ganaihi nainam kaschana pashyati. Nainam pashyati kaschanendriya ganaihi. But then, how does one see? Will anybody able to see? So therefore, he is just adding Kopi dhanyah punaha. Kopi dhanyah means, so among millions of people, Kopi dhanyah, if he is a blessed person, Buddhya hritstitaya vicharya. Only means is, what is this vichara, etc. We will see. This has been more elaborately described in Bhashya and other commentaries. Buddhya hritstitaya. Buddhya hritstitaya. Hritstitaya buddhya. This is something, it is interesting phrase. Hritstitaya buddhya. Buddhi is, as I just told you, it is a certain faculty which is able to make you take certain decisions and also try to control the wandering mind to stick to that decision, right? And this buddhi, just understand, it is not the mana. And this buddhi should be able to direct it inward along this vichara. Hritstitaya means, if the buddhi, see, suppose you decide that you have to study this, okay? That you have to watch this, that you have to go here, etc. So there may be somebody else who may be inviting you elsewhere, but then the buddhi will tell you, no, I have decided and therefore I am going to go to class. Okay? Suppose, assume that you take that decision. So this decision can be with reference to entities which are outside, achieving something. Okay? So doing exercise, doing yoga, playing, whatever. So not getting diverted to other things. This is the role of the buddhi. Now this buddhi can be making you take a certain direction and achieve something which is external. It can also be directed to think about this nature of Atman. So what is this purpose? So how is this Atman to be understood? Based on what has been stated in Vishnutis and what has been described by great people who have experienced this Atman. So that is what is meant by Hritstitaya. Hritstitaya means that which has been focused inward. This is what one has to. Hritstha buddhi means buddhi can be directed towards external things or buddhi can be directed towards inside. Okay, inside contemplating upon the nature of Atman as described in Vishnutis and as described by Mahatmas. Buddhya hritstitaya vicharya. Vicharya means it is not something which is going to be gained by you, just like that. Okay? So nothing in fact is gained just like this, right, in the world. So whether you want to be a player, you want to be a whatever it is, astronaut, whatever it is, you want to be someone who wants to climb. Okay, just now today somebody was telling that he went. Okay, so on some trekking, and then suddenly fell and then broke his shoulder. So then he set right. So these are all things which are achieved not just like this. So only by great efforts. Similarly, here if you want to understand the nature of Atman, what has been stated in Shrutis, Vicharya, it has to be contemplated deeply and continuously for a stretched period. Vidya Hritsthitaya Vicharya Labhate. Labhate means ultimately he will gain. So Vicharya Labhate. And once this jnana is gained, it is said, Yo Veda Tatu. This Atman which is described, if one understands, so Amritaha. Okay? So he is Amritaha Bhavati. So this is what this means. Now let me quickly take you through the commentary, and then we will move on to the mantras, okay? And the commentary of Bhagavad Pada. So what does he say in the Vyakhyanam? Manusheshvapi sahasreshu yah kopi dhanyaha eva enam pashyati. Yah kopi dhanyaha eva. The sahasreshu, among the thousands and millions of people. Manusheshu sahasreshu yah kopi dhanyaha. See, in fact, we have this sloka in Bhagavad Gita, Prasiddha sloka. What is it?
Yatatanam sahasreshu kaśķid.
Manushyanam sahasreshu kaśķid yatati siddhaye. Yatatāmapi siddhānām kaśķid māṁ vetti tattvataha. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaśķid yatati siddhaye. Yatatāmapi kaśķid māṁ vetti tattvataha. Tattvataha māṁ kaśķidev vetti. Because it is not something which is so simple, but it is something which is highly rewarding. That is what one has to understand. We also have this verse, right? Ascharyavat pashyati kaśķidenam ascharyavat
Ascharyavatsainam anyashrunoti
Enam veda nachaiva kaśķid. Nachaiva kaśķid veda means just by listening. Shrutvapi. But then unless this vichara takes place, this does not help. That is what is meant by that. Okay. Now, Manushyedu sahasreshu yah kopi dhanyaha eva enam pashyati. He should be blessed. Kutaha. He says, Indriya chit. See, kutaha means what one has to understand is, if there is something which is external, then anybody can see. So anything external, anybody can see. So you can see a dog can see, a monkey can see. So you have a banana in your hand. As your neighbor can see, monkey can see. Okay? You can just come and try to snatch anything. So these are all normal things. So this is Vishaya, Indriya Vishaya. So if Atman is like this, okay, tangible to Indriya, then anybody can see. But it is not Indriya Vishaya, Indriyatu, Anyatu. Okay. So that is what he actually covers. So, Indriya Chitta Sannati Mahan Maya Paraha Indriyani. Okay. Chittam, here should be understood as Manaha Sannmatihi. Okay. Sannmatihi is describing as Prashasta Buddhi. Okay. Prashasta Buddhi. Then Mahan Maya Tābhyah Paraha. So he is beyond all this. Then Indriyadibhyaha. In fact, he is just listing Indriyadibhyaha Chittadayaha Paraha. Tebhyaha Sarvebhyascha Ayam Paraha. In fact, this is the sequence that I was referring to. Indriyebhyah Parahyarthaha Arthebhyascha Param Manaha. We saw that earlier. So that same sequence is sort of reproduced here. So paraha tebhyas sarvebhyascha ayam paraha. So it is somewhat beyond that, supreme to that. Ataha eva alingaha. It is for this reason it is alinga. There cannot be a linga which can be tagged to that. Linga rahitaha. Okay. Alingaha means should not be understood as linga viruddha. Okay. That is why this is just carefully saying as linga rahitaha, because nanya can mean various things. Atayeva vyapakaha is someone who is all pervasive. Atayeva san satyaha. Here, san should be understood as satyaha. Okay. So, vyapakaha satyaha. So, in fact, one satyaha means something which is imperishable, which is there, eternal. That is what it means. One thing which we can think of is, so this closest element is akasha, which one can think of. Saha vyapakaha, saha anashvarascha. This is how we generally perceive of. Okay. So that is how akasha is generally used. Atayeva san satyaha. Then yoso purushaha tasyasya padam should be understood as swarupam here. Okay. Padam means swarupam. To the nature. Tasyasya padam swarupantu drikpathe drigvishaye no tishtati. No means natishtati. That's all. Okay. Natishtati. So prashasta buddhi. In fact, in the first line, we should just give a break. Prashasta buddhi need not be one word. They are two different words. Prashasta buddhi. Okay. Then upalakshanamidam shrotra divishayat. Upalakshanamidam means, so this statement that drigvishaye natishtati means shruti vishaye natishtati, grana vishaye natishtati. All that has to be understood. That is why we use the word upalakshana. Upalakshana means this is somewhat indicative of all the things. Upalakshanamidam shrotra divishayattvasya atayeva yenam purushaha kaschana kaschidapi indriyaganihi na pashyati. It is for this reason nobody is able to sense through indriyas. Yah kopi dhanyaha. So normally purushaha na pashyati. That is true. That doesn't mean that nobody is able to do that. Yah kopi dhanyaha punaha. See, this dhanyatvam should be understood. See, you should not just think, I need not make any effort. So things will come this way. Okay? So this dhanyatvam, see, you should understand that I am dhanya. See, in fact, in bhajanai, so in bhajans, people, dhanya dhanya. So dhanya dhanya, they claim, because I got some guru who can help me move along this direction. This dhanyatvam, blessed is only in getting this. But after that, you have to do something. So just because you get, I mean, this doesn't mean that you can just keep quiet. This dhanyatvam is in getting. Okay? Getting these, somebody to show you what the right path is, how the Shastra is to be understood, and so on and so on. After that, it is the buddhi. That is why these both are stated. Yah kopi dhanyaha punaha. Dhanya in getting it. Kritsthaya buddhya vicharya. That is something which you have to do. Okay? Kritsthaya buddhya vicharya yenam labhate. Then he understands, gains this jnana. Tat tatha yenam yo veda. Tatha veda yenam yo veda. Tatha veda means as it has been described in the Shrutis based on the anubhava of great people. Yo veda saha purushaha amritaha. This is how this verse has been commented. Now I will take you to the mantras and the commentary which has been given to Bhagavad-Pada. So you can just take it. So there are some very interesting things which have been brought out by Bhagavad-Pada into some subtle aspects. So now let us go to mantra 7. Indriyebhyah param manaha manasas sattvam sattvadati mahanatma mahato vyaktamuttamam. How does the commentary go? Yasmat atmanaha indriyanam prathak bhavaha. So Bhagavad-Pada beautifully comments with the connection of the previous mantra and this. So in the previous class, we discussed the great things. So indriyana prathak bhavaha. Prathak bhavaha means he is separate from these indriyas. Okay. So indriyanam prathak bhavaha muktaha nasau bahihi adhigantavyaha yasmat pratyagatma sarvasya. Yasmat atmanaha indriyanam prathak bhavaha muktaha. So prathak bhavaha muktaha nasau bahihi adhigantavyaha. So it is not something which has to be searched outside. Nasau bahihi adhigantavyaha yasmat pratyagatma sarvasya. Pratyagatma sarvasya. See, the other day, so I went to somebody's place. There was some little child. I just touched first. No. Just showed that I am not happy with this. Then sometimes, you just do once or twice, they just become close to you. But this girl started crying. So this aham, don't touch me. You understand? So that here pratyagatma sa sarvasya. Sarvasya pratyagatma means so that me notion. So this that sharirena saha aham bhava. Understand? So don't touch my hair. Don't touch this. So you may say later, touching the hair is touching you. So that is where, so bahya dharmana atmani adhyasya. Bahya dharmana atmani adhyasya. So this adhyasa. So here, this adhyasa, so this is nothing, whether you have hair or you don't have. So somebody, so just, I was just asking him, it's completely, 3-4 times I saw, every time it is completely shaven head. I asked him, hey, kya hai? He said, so because it started falling in many places, I decided that I will every day remove thoroughly. So this bald is not separately seen. So this is the problem. So, so I am having bald head, I am having white, I am having this. So see, this pratyagatma is something which is completely different from all this. Earlier, without bald head, you were the same person. With the bald head and with completely shaven head, you were the same person. So Shankaracharya has shown both forms. So he became a Vyukta Kesha. Before that, he is Jatadhari. This Jatadhari becomes a Vyukta Kesha. So, Yasmat Sasarvasya Pratyagatma. Sarvasya means whether it is mosquito. Mosquito also resists your touch. So, Sarvasya Pratyagatma Tat Kathamiti Uchyate Indriyebhyah param manaha ityadi. So here he is just taking you step by step. Why is this? Because normally this indriyadhyasa is there. So when you are watching something, you say, I am watching. Right? Where is this I identified with? The process of watching. Watching is actually through the Indriya. It is Indriya Dharma. So this Indriya Dharma is started to Atma. Now I am playing. Okay. So this is, you play some football, you break your leg. So this I am playing means, so this leg is kicking, etc., etc. So there is this. So we tag various things. So watching, playing, hearing, etc. They are all different aspects. So, but there is some anusyuta. Okay. So vyavartate, anuvartate. Okay. Various kriyas are identified with the same atma. You are playing, you are watching, you are hearing, etc. Okay. So this is what he calls as adhyasa. Now all the indriya dharmas are put upon this atma, but he is beyond these indriyas. When you identify, I am playing, I am watching, etc., you have identified yourself with that activity. Now this one is different from all this because at different point you have identified with the different indriyas. So when you go to sleep, none of these activities are there, but you are there. So indriyebhya paraha. So you move on further inside. Indriyebhya param manaha ityadi. Okay. So through the mana, of course, various things happen, and of course you can eliminate from manas and so on. So that was done earlier. Now there is an interesting statement which Bhagavad makes here. He says, Arthanamiha Indriya samana jatiyatvat Indriya grahaneni grahanam. So this statement was a little tricky to me to understand. Then after some thought, I was able to understand this. What does he say? Arthanamiha Indriya samana jatiyatvat. In this mantra, you do not find the word artha. There you find artha. Indriyebhyah parahyarthaha arthebhyascha param manaha. Right? Manasastu parabuddhihi. All those elements are listed. But here it has not been listed. Therefore, Bhagavad Pada brings in here. And then, by mentioning Indriya itself, he has mentioned the artha as if. That is what he is saying. Samana jatiyatvat is the phrase. So bring the mangoes, suppose I say. Suppose I say, bring the mangoes. So there may be two Alfonso, there may be two Baganapalli, there may be some two other things. So when I say bring the mangoes, so then you will bring all of them, right? Why? Samana jatiyatva. Mangotvam is there, whether it is Baganapalli or Alfonso or something else. Okay? But Mangotvam is the Samana jati. Okay? Then if I say bring the fruits, then what will you do? So you can bring banana also because the fruit jati is there. So this is how we have to understand. But how do we put this artha and indriya in the Samana jati? Okay, this was the question that I had. Then after thinking, so I felt, see, one may feel that indriya, see, one thing is, artha is something which we perceive through indriya, right? So there is a clear distinction that one can see. But then how does he say samana jati? So one can have both aspects. That's why I am trying to bring this. So the doubt that I had was, artha is external, indriya is the karana through which I reach the artha. Right? So one is Vishaya, the other is Karana. So how do we put them? Number one. Number two, Indriya we assume it to be inside the body, Artha is outside the body. Okay? But of course, even Hasta is an Artha, one can think of. So there is a distinction. But the Samana Jatiyatvena is an interesting thing which Bhagavad Pada has introduced here. I will tell you how this can be understood. One way to understand is Indriya has its vyapara only in the external domain. Indriya vyapara is something which is in the external domain only. Okay, it is outside. And Artha is also outside. The domain in which they are, when they are in play only in the external domain. This is one kind of Samanatvam you can think of. Samanatvam means having the same sort of a property in some sense. But more interestingly, one can think of, so this Indriya as something which is born out of. Just now, in the previous, I think 1 or 2 classes before, when we read this verse, so this 53, in fact, 53 only in the previous verse. In the previous verse, if you see, Chakshushrutirasanam Nibunatihi Grananche. So he listed all of them, 5 Indriyas. Then he said, Vai Varchalvyadam Bubhu Bhaitarat. So he said that these are born out of these things. Okay, so Indriya is connected. Now you just see, this Samana Jatiyatvam means, so you are born from the same thing. Okay, so suppose you say, so if some player may be from Maharashtra, some player may be from Tamil Nadu, somebody may be from Delhi. Okay, so all of them when they are playing, Samana Jatiyatvam as a player. Your origins can be different, but with reference to something you can see the commonality, right? Now here, with reference to Brahmana, what will you say? So if they are born for Brahmana, you will call Brahmana. If they are born for Kshatriya, you will say king class and so on, whatever class. So here you can think of these Indriyas that way. How? So these Indriyas are also considered to be, here he explained, Vacho Vayo Archishaha Chakshu. With the 5 bhutas, you associate the 5 Indriyas. That was described in the previous class. Now, when we look into the Shastra, so we have this. So, Pancha Tanmatraha is what we say. Even before the Pancha Bhuta, okay, Pancha Tanmatraha. So, this Pancha Tanmatrebhyaha Indriyani and Pancha Tanmatrebhyaha api Bhutani. So, the origin of both of them are one and the same. Understand? They arise out of the same thing and therefore Samana Jati. Okay? So, that is how one can understand this. Artha namihe Indriya Samana Jati. Because of the same parenting. So, one may be girl, one may be boy, but both are born to the same parents and therefore you can call them Reddy, you can call them Ayyar, whatever. Okay? So, this is how we can understand. So, the origin of both of them is one and the same. So, that is what is meant by Samana Jatiyatvam here. Arthanamihe. Because both the arthas. See, what you have to understand is, from the Pancha Tanmatra, you have Pancha Bhutas, and the Pancha Bhutas, they put together, okay, form the entire universe. So, it is basically these elements. So, this origin being one and the same. Arthanamihe Indriya Samana Jatiyatvati Indriya Grahaneni Vadgrahanam Purvavadanyat Satta Shabdat Buddhi Iha Buddhiyate. These are the commentary ends for mantra 7. Now we move to mantra 8. Mantra 8 is a continuation. Avyaktat Tuparaf Purushaha Vyapako Linga Evacha Yam Nyatva Muchyate Jantuhu Amritatvancha Gacchati. So it is just a continuation. So one is above the other, one is above the other, and so on. Avyaktat Paraf Purushaha. So this Atman which you are describing is something which is beyond Avyakta. Okay. If you want something which can be connected, so you think of modern cosmology. They say there is some singularity. They go to some point in time back and then say there is something which is beyond this. That is Avyakta. You don't know what is happening here. Beyond that, you will describe that this is what it is, this is what it is. You will be able to describe. But before that, what it was, so this is avyakta. Okay? Avyaktattu paraha purushaha. Avyaktattu paraha purushaha. Okay. So see, even this energy which we are talking about is avyakta only. If the fan runs, if the motor runs, if the car runs, you say there is energy. Can you see energy? Understand? Avyakta means it is unmanifest. Some unmanifest form is existing. Even COVID is avyakta. So you can see the effect of avyaktattu paraha purushaha. Vyapakaha means it is all pervasive because it is this entity which has manifested itself in all forms. Okay. Vyapakaha. Vyapakasyapyakashadehe sarvasya karanatvat. Why am I calling this as Vyapaka? Because Atmana Akasha Samvitaha. See, even the space and time that you are talking about is something which came from this. Okay? Therefore, Vyapakaha Sarvasya Karanatvat. Now he says, Alingaha. Yes, I sort of explained it to you while I was explaining the verse. So, Alingaha, here beautifully Shankaracharya says, Lingyate gamyate yena tallingam buddhyadi tat avidyamanam yasya soyam alingaha eva. You understand? So, lingyate gamyate yena. So, gamyate needs to be understood as understood. See the word gamyate. See, gamyate, gamanam is basically referring to motion. But gati shabda, gati vachakaha, jnana vachakaha, gatyarthakaha, jnana arthakaha. So, lingyate, gamyate, yena tallingam. By which you understand something. By which you understand tallingam. Lingyate, gamyate, yena tallingam. That is what is called lingam, an indicator. So, if it is inseparably connected with something, then it is lingam. Lingyate, gamyate, yena tallingam buddhyadi. These are all lingas. Buddhyadi. Tat avidyamanam yasya. So, for which it is not there. What is not there? That lingam is not there. That is what I was trying to explain to you. Okay? So, this Atman, so during Nidravastha, you cannot associate anything with that. Any of the gunas. It is nirguna. So, if something is there, it is permanently connected with, then it is its own nature. That is. So, that is the only thing. Chaitanya Swarupa. That is the only thing. Chit Swarupatvam, you can always think of for Atman, but not any other feature by which you can, this way, Tat avidyamanam yasya soyam alingaha evacha. What does it mean? Sarva samsara dharma varjitaha ityetatu. This alinga is to be understood as sarva samsara dharma varjitaha. Okay. So, alingaha means, so you see the shape of an object. So, you infer something from the smell of the object. So, these are all dharmas. So, samsare vidyamanaha dharmaha. Depending upon the form, depending upon the smell, depending upon various other characteristics, we are able to infer. How do you know it is banana? I know the shape, I know it. So, therefore, through that I know. Right? So, these are all dharma. But with reference to this Atman, you cannot associate some permanent dharma. In fact, I'll tell you, one of the teachers from whom I learned for a short while, he was my father's teacher. He was considered an extraordinary teacher who will be able to present things with absolute clarity. One thing which I used to wonder in my childhood is, I was just residing to my next house. So I would have been around 8 years, 9 years old. So my father used to go and study, and there are some 3-4 people who used to study. So the study will happen right in front of the house, so thin and okay, outside. So that he will be sitting, and therefore my students will be sitting. So every time I used to go out in the evening for playing. So then some class will be happening around 5 o'clock. So these people will be sitting. So I always saw this teacher closing his eyes. So whenever he starts his lesson, he will simply close his eyes and then he will just keep on giving lecture. Okay? So this was his characteristics. My father used to say, so he will never repeat things. So you see, if you open your eyes, you will see whether that fellow has understood or not, right? But if you close your so he will always close his eyes. So he will just present things in such a beautiful manner. That is how everybody has stated about him. So this person, so this is his linga. So a mark of that particular teacher is, so the one, suppose in Sanskrit college, you want to say, okay, his mark will be linga is if he closes his eyes and if he repeats only once, says only once, then it's, so my father used to say, you have to be very, very attentive in this class. Anyway, so even when I started learning, much later when it was 85 plus, almost close to that, I had a few sessions with him. Anyway, so even during that period, I mean, I'll tell you, there are 2 reasons why I wanted to say. One is this was his hallmark. So this person, even when I went to learn, when he was 82, 83, something like that. So before I go to his place, in some Mambalam in my class, so after my university, I will go there directly. So he will be with a book in his hand. It is the most elementary Katha, Nyaya Shastra. Vedāntamuktāvalī is one of the elementary texts. But even then, he used to read this. So before starting the class, to just completely recapitulate, okay, whatever is to be taught. So he used to be revising, I mean, at that age also, not to miss any point. So this was something which was quite remarkable. The other reason why I wanted to say this was, this person, for a certain period in his time, in his lifetime, so before this 80s, maybe for a few years, 5 years, I don't remember, 5 years, 10 years. For some time, he used to say, I don't know anything, I don't know anything. He went into some other mode. Okay? Even when father goes, something happened. So why am I saying this? These are all things. Okay? Sometimes you feel that you know, sometimes you feel you don't know. Whether you know or you don't know. So there is nothing like linga. So this Atma Chaitanya, it declares itself as not knowing anything. It declares as knowing something. So all this knowledge was there, later it just came up. So this linga is something. So Jnanavanva, Ajnanavanva, what will you say? So when the buddhi is functioning properly, it is Jnanavanva. Buddhi is not functioning properly, Ajnanavanva. Right? So it has to do with that instrument. But this person is the same person. So he is different from, understand? Alinga evacha. That is the point he is trying to say here. The sarva samsara dharma varjitaha ityutat. Yam nyatva. How do we know? Yam nyatva. See, knowing whom? How do we know? Beautifully Acharya says, Acharyataha shastratascha. This is extremely important. Okay. So one of my students, PhD student, this fellow. Okay, there is one fellow. So that fellow will say, Say, I don't agree, I don't agree. Repeatedly he will say, what is being said? Just because you are not able to understand today, I can't agree, how can this be, how can this be? You just think for a while. That is what I used to tell you repeatedly. You just can't dismiss saying that how can this be just because you don't understand. Right? That is why Acharyataha. You have to listen to. Then Shastratascha. Acharya can only take you to some extent. And then you have to go and refer to Shastra. Repeatedly. That is why we said Vicharya. Without that, one cannot just jump to conclusion. Acharyataha shastratascha jnatva muchyate jantuhu. This person gets relieved of all the bondages. From where? Avidyadi hridaya granthibhi jivan eva. Very important. Okay? So not after this person passes away, the life goes away. Jivan eva. Here, Avidyadi hridaya granthibhi muchyate. Patite visharire amritatvam saha amritatvam cha gacchati. Once the sharira goes off, after the prarabdha karma is finished, if at all, in this janma, amritatvam cha gacchati. Saha alingaha paraha uvyaktat purushaha iti purvenaiva sambandhaha. It's a very beautiful commentary which Acharya has brought. I think we'll stop here and take the commentary of the next verse in the next class. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahavirjam Karavavahi Tejasvinavati Tamastama Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarve Visakhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhakti. Om